Hello, this is Everett Pierce. It is May the 9th, 2017, and it's 1:20 p.m. Now, this is Numerology 101. And what is this? Is developing one's sense of judgment. Now, this is supposed to be done when you turn the ripe age of 18 and be an adult. That by then you should be able to make judgment calls, choices. Now, with our pyramid of numbers, it is mine. It is mine. I developed, I put it together because I have found it to be most reliable, or use one word, superior than anything I've ever run into. Anything. And I've run into other things that come close to it. But like anything, running down to the end zone of football, 99 yards, and stop 1 yard from the end zone, is not the same as running down into the end zone. So, but a lot of people are far from this higher level of thinking and doing. So I'm going to give you an understanding and insight to our pyramid of numbers that reflect a lot of things. And it develops a lot of things within yourself and gives you benefits. And some of these benefits is what you see right away, and some things you don't. Now, we use the lottery system because, say, back 3,000 years ago, 2017 years ago, I even notably of writing into the sand, writing into the dirt, because we didn't have paper back then. Okay, but is through experience. So what we're going to establish in this video is the two-factor. My pyramid of numbers is many characteristics that you will find in the highest level of evolution known as God. Okay, so option A is I'm going to show you how to do an equation like converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, or I'm going to teach you option B, how to make judgment calls on your own. Well, obviously B is the better choice. One, it just take like people have done to me in the last 10 years. Oh, they want me to teach them. And then some of those people turn around and project it as their own creation of work, being thieves, actually. Because everything that I teach, it all derived from me at some point. In this lifetime, in another lifetime. Because you're not going to find someone else who is as knowledgeable and experienced on advanced level 3 when it comes to energy, cause and effect, God. So technically speaking, I'm God's apprentice. Now that may offend some people and say, well, God's apprentice, that means you want to be God. If I have to be something, and I have to be doing something and moving forward, that's essentially what everyone else out there in any religion is doing, is trying to be an apprentice of what it sees as the highest level of evolution. It just happened to be, I understand God on levels in which people haven't even begun yet, because I put emphasis on developing the sense of communications, open up God's ability to communicate to me and open up the communications back and forth. You hear these preachers say, well, I talked to God last night. Yeah, okay. Maybe you did. I'm not going to refute that. But I also know that, God would probably talk to you in English, like a bleep. And everything else that it communicates to and from you is everything in your environment. Okay. Now, back to the pyramid of numbers. Now, I've offered a lot of my stuff for free. And it's like a lot of people, they just want. Very, very few people have actually took it upon themselves to say, here, Everett, here's $100. Because in reality, I'm half a step away from being homeless, eating my dinner out of a trash can. And the reality of it is many people out there, maybe including you, don't really give a rat's ass. You got your mind focused on certain things of your life, and it's like nothing else matters. But you know enough that Everett is the source. Everett's the real deal when it comes to mathematics, cause and effect, energy. Like I explained as Einstein with nuclear, and as what you know of me, and I have said it already, when you teach, you first teach the correct wrong way first. And that's why, and our government knows this, and any other nation has developed themselves know that the wrong way of warfare, is using nuclear. Why? Because it will take you on the fastest track to extinction. No, why would I go out of my way to teach things the wrong way? Because I didn't set the rules. That is how God or energy, things must happen. Like say, for example, this is the best analogy, a parable that I can give. If you were to live on the seventh heaven, and it's like you had a butler, you had a cook, you had all the finest things. I mean, I'm talking about finest things that would make Donald Trump seem like he's in poverty. And then I said, okay, for the next 1,000 lifetimes, now you're going to really live in poverty. You're going to live on the street. You're going to eat your dinner out of a trash can. You're going to experience all these hardships. You'll say, well, hell with that. I want that. I don't want anything to do with that compared to what you've been subjected to. Now, that's a natural human behavior of anyone out there. So option A is taken off the plate until you understand. It's like you have to learn how to crawl before you can start thinking about walking. Start thinking about running. Okay. So, yeah, this video is going to be free. I did another video before this. And I don't know what was in the background, but there's like a 60,000 hertz hum. And I don't know if I'll make it available, but it'll be the full version of what we're doing right now. And then, if I do make it available, it'll probably be at least $60 for you to view it, But I'm still debating whether to even make it available. But this is really a short version to explain the malfunction. Why people, they're thinking it's like a calculator. It's like it's going to do it for them. No, I'm not a teacher if I'm not able to teach you how to fish. Okay, if this can't develop your sense of being able to make judgment calls. And I'll give you an example. Now, say your through experience. And you see that with jobs out there. And they'll say, well, what kind of college you have? Okay, well, what kind of experience do you have? Well, I don't have any experience. And then they don't hire you because they're looking for someone with 5 years experience. They can get in there and get with the program and do what their company does. And you say, well, how do I ever get the experience? Well, then you have to keep hunting until someone is desperate enough where it's like they can't get anyone in their company, so they have to bring in someone. Okay. Anyways, is it through experience? So, through my experience of Powerball, I'll give you an incident that related to me. And I was talking to other people about this. I had all my numbers set out, and I was talking to Diane. I said, it was showing me 49. I said, the last 100 times I've seen with Powerball, every time I come up with 49, ends up being 44. I would say at least 90 of the 100 of them. I said, I'm going to have to play another ticket and just put it as a 44. Now, with that being said, I didn't do it. In the mix of it, I don't know how many tickets I put in, but I didn't do that. Well, it turned out one of my tickets of my top 10, I had 4 out of 6. And sure enough, my 49 ended up being 44. Okay? Meaning that I would have had an official paying, meaning I would have got a check and I can say, look, I've had 5 out of 6. Okay, I've had 6 out of 6 many times. But it just so happens to be that when I've done it, I didn't have the motivation to put it in. And then all 6 come in. And you say, well, if it was just me, and say, well, yeah, he just bullshitting, he just saying this. But when you have had incidents where you've talked to other people and you mention all your 6 numbers and they didn't really give much thought, I didn't give it much thought, I didn't play it, and then they go, did you play those numbers? And say, no. Oh shit, all 6 of them came in. How'd you know that? I don't know how many instances I've been in that situation. Okay. So anyways, if there's nothing, there are many benefits you get out of. Say, well, why do these pyramid numbers if I ain't getting paid? That's one of the problems out there. It's like people have to be paid to do something. If you have love and passion and you seek the desire to understand, people want to understand God, people want to understand numbers, people want to understand energy, and they want to understand the cause and effect. And then with this serial killer shooter that they just caught yesterday, is there are going to be umpteen amount of people of wondering why did he do this? Well, this started over a year and a half ago, and I told the police, and I told several people, and it was right off Interstate 51 in Thomas Road. And it turns out that's where that son of a gun lived. And I told the police, I said, there's 2 shooters. They messed up one night, and they hit my truck from both sides. Now, it doesn't automatically mean that they know each other. It could just be coincidental, or maybe one guy knows the other guy, but he doesn't particularly know him, and he just, he looks at him as some kind of a mentor or something. I don't know. But they got the worst one out because it seemed he has 7 bodies, death, and not to mention people hurt and damaged cars. So that's a really good thing. For the fact that would I ever see the $75,000 reward that was in apprehending him? I can tell you one thing, in a city of 5 million people, I narrowed it down to a basic 2-mile radius of where to find the son of a gun. So that's neither here nor there. I ain't going to hold my breath on it. But I sure what, $75,000 would make, at least put me to a livable state. I ain't talking about luxury. I'm talking about just feeling like I'm not living in the street. I got concrete floors. I don't have rugs. I have concrete floors. And this is not my house. So I could greatly benefit from that. But would I ever see a dime of $75,000? Probably not. But I'm glad that they did take him off the road. Because I made a judgment call. That night when they shot me, I was seeking them out. I almost caught that son of a gun that night. And I also notified the police. This is the area. If he's a young kid and he's inexperienced, that's what was the evidence that was pointing to me. So if he's young, inexperienced, that means he's got to be somewhat nearby. Means safe haven. So if he does shooting, he knows the area, he knows how to escape quickly and hide. Okay. And so as far as the second guy, they're saying it is 2 separate incidents, the I-10 shooter. Because I even told people back then, one of these people have something to prove, meaning he's going to kill people. The other person, it's like he's just following the lead, like a copycat in a sense from the original guy. So, yeah, it would be nice to see 75,000. I made a judgment call. I put myself in I could have ran up on that guy and he could have shot me dead. But I was going to be damned that you're going to shoot at me. And I figured I was playing that he was inexperienced. Meaning he's going to screw up. The likelihood of him killing me is unlike. I fall from a 2-story building on my head. I've gone through a windshield of a car at 45 miles an hour. I've been shot in the head. I've been hit in the head with an aluminum bat. Chances are I got death on my side. So, and it's just my personality. I want to hunt you down. You tell me you're out here, you're basically assassinating people. Oh, hell no. And then you start with me. Okay. So you have to make judgment calls. So you're going to experience through your experience. So what you perceive from your equation. And then you're going to make through your experience. Say, and then you use statistics. And say, well, it seems like every 10th time, instead of being 13, it's usually 13, but it seems like every 10th time, it'll be a 31. Just take note of that. So you're taking note of how you perceive things and what you're drawn to in the equation. Because that equation, you have to calculate. It's going to lie to you. It's going to tell you the truth. Because I haven't taught you how to bring more clarity to it. Okay. And essentially what I'm teaching you is doing it the wrong way. Means it's at its worst, but it's going to force you to develop yourself, develop and understand how you perceive things versus what actually is. You have to start with that, because it does get more difficult than that. Now, once you establish that, just like when you're a little kid learning your ABCs, you may have thought that was impossible to learn. And next on you're saying words, next on you're saying sentences, and next on you're saying paragraphs, next on you're reading Stephen King novels. I mean, it just keeps escalating. So just take it one step at a time, and not allow it to overwhelm you, and women get, I find that a lot of women get overwhelmed with this, thinking it's out of their ability or capability. If you're here on this sixth heaven, you're more than capable. Now, it doesn't mean that it may not be something of your likings, but there's a lot of things that we must do that we don't particularly like, but there's a lot of benefits from it. And there is a lot of benefits through my system of numbers, my pyramid of numbers. As you say, well, yeah, you may not had a jackpot winner, but then you look back 5 years later and you say, but I have a better sense of judgment now. I don't know how or why, but it seems more, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, I'm making the right choice. And it's like, God forbid that happen, right? That also ties into the president. Being a leader of leaders and presidents of presidents. I have been at least 2 presidents of the 45. So the United States and the presidents, relatively wet behind the ears, per se, of trying to understand the Constitution. Eventually, at some point, common sense will say you're going to outgrow the Constitution. Something that has structure, has benefit people for years, centuries. I don't hear anything about putting, you have to work at this, putting a Constitution too. I mean, this is far superior than the original Constitution that started over 200 years ago. Okay. Making judgment calls. Understanding energy. Understanding numbers. Understanding God. Well, a lot of people out there have these $1 million questions, and they all diverse back to either Jesus or God. Okay. Well, I'm not here to force anyone to believe anything. I know who I was in my past life. And one of them was a lifetime I would rather forget. Because I didn't die for people's sins. I died because of people's sins. Okay, but that's neither here or there. And say, what? You're saying you're the actual Jesus 2017 years ago? We'll just say, I wish I didn't remember that lifetime. Because it was horrible overall. It's like, when people abandon you, when people basically literally throw you in the trash, they want to torture you, they want to kill you, and all you have done is try to help them and teach them. Yeah, it's one of the lifetimes I'd rather forget about. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, you could say, oh, he's crazy, he thinks he's Jesus, he thinks he's Abraham Lincoln, he's George Washington. Fine, throw that to the side. Okay, you just have Everett Pierce here. That pyramid of numbers is going to teach you how to develop the self of making judgment calls. So once you establish that personality in your pyramid with that particular lottery system, you start establishing and developing how you perceive things. And then you just make that conversion. You say, well, when I see 100 in there, I always see a 0, 1. From a 3-digit to 2-digit. You're just making an association. You say, wait a minute, the last 10 times, when I see 100 at the top of my pyramid, 100, 1 is coming out in the pyramid, in the Powerball. That's what I'm saying. They're, the Trinity. Okay, so it's the results, the yielding of your pyramid of numbers. Okay, and you know that it's going to lie to you and it's going to tell you the truth. What you perceive of it, and it is the third element. is your judgment call of it. The judgment call comes through experience, just like jobs out there. They hire people based upon, should be college, but also through experience. That's why some colleges, they also implement experience, especially with doctors and surgeons and stuff like that, on-hands experience through the guidance with another established doctor. Okay, but through experience. You might find, say a 4-digit number, 998, and you notice in the Powerball, every time you see a 998 together, there's a 23. Okay, it's just an example. How I perceive things is a lot different than the way you're going to perceive things. And Marianne and Joanne and Sally too and Jojo, Bo, and so on. Okay, so as you develop yourself and you gain the genuine aspect of this, and with great ability comes great responsibility. We see that and heard that a million times over, not to mention we hear that in movies. And that's true, because you also have to develop that as well. Means you have to take baby steps until you get yourself on the level of you're a professional. And as like with new money, especially with the lottery, people get new money and they now have $12 million and they buy everything, and then 5 years later, they are filing for bankruptcy. What happened? It's called the newness. That relates to also North Korea. They have that newness. That's why I relate, new money to them. They have the power, they develop the country. But the thing is, if it's not done in baby steps, what we're going to see and experience is basically a modernization of a Hitler situation. And the closest nation to them is China. Meaning if they have the capabilities, they can wipe out 1.2 billion people. Yes, that poses a problem. And not to mention, you're bringing in an old evolutionary way of thinking and doing. Because as Einstein, I taught is nuclear weapons is the wrong way of doing it. So what is the right way? Well, we're not on that page yet. But I can tell you one thing. The mother of all bombs, Moab, okay, you think of Sahara Desert. It's all sand. Now, the lower end of bombs that is not nuclear is what turned Sahara Desert into a sand desert. I mean, it's still livable, but the conditions are far worse. But it's livable. If you use nuclear weapons, what? You're going to come back in a couple hundred years, maybe 1,000 years, because the people that do live there ends up dying of cancer within 5 years. So, you know that without a doubt. He's going to teach you the wrong way first. And if you hang around long enough and become genuine and sincere about it, you're going to learn the right way too. And then the third element, the right and the wrong. And you mix them together, just like male and female, they have a child. The third element. Just like E equals MC squared. That's one of 3 parts that you put together. People can't hardly understand E equals MC squared, let alone implementing part 2 and part 3. We're not even on that page either. But focus on developing yourself. Just because you're 18 doesn't mean you're an adult. That means you're just starting your journey of adulthood. And there's a lot of things you're going to discover in yourself, the way you perceive things, understand things, and it's going to be a lot different. And that's what makes us all unique. From identical twins. That tells you that it is spirits that's controlling this flesh. People say, well, it's a racial thing. But inside everyone, it is the brain that controls this body. It's gray matter. So you want to focus on things, and you can take that and, you want to be prejudiced against people tall, prejudiced against people short. You want to be prejudiced against people being rich and people being poor, people being fat and people being skinny. I mean, it's like, oh my God. Ah! But the main focus is always, it's a black and white thing. We're identified by our bones. Bones. That's how we identify T-Rex and any other dinosaur in a museum. So develop your sense of how you perceive things. And use the lottery as a feedback. And start learning or understand the concept of statistics. It'll start showing a pattern. They say, well, the pi, 3.14, it doesn't show any particular repeating pattern. It does. But only the pi man, like me, would be able to prove that being false. Because maybe that is only half of what's there. Okay. But anyways, we're not here for that. But the question is, you're still in the element of development. So don't step over a dime to get to $1. Don't put the horse, the buggy ahead of the horse. Develop the self, and the energy will open itself up like a nymphomaniac. And hopefully you're laughing with me. But that is one of the other key elements that people are overlooking. What you're doing, how you perceive the numbers, and what's actually coming out, and put some kind of correlation that develops personality with the lottery system, your personality of yourself, the way you perceive things, and you'll find yourself being more successful in the lottery system. You'll find yourself more successful in everything you do, in your job, in your family, in your children, anything. You'll look back and you'll say, wait a minute, wow, it just, it's like cologne. After 30 minutes, you don't smell it. So once you get yourself conditioned to it, then you're doing certain things that you're not really acknowledging it. But other people aren't. And say, wait a minute, boy, old Joe over there is like, you can guarantee 80% of the time he came out of his mouth was a bunch of crap. And now they're saying, oh, what happened to Joe? Did he go to college? Because it seems like he's right about everything. And then he goes into another set of challenges. Now people are saying, oh, so you think you're right all the time, huh? You think you're smarty pants, huh? So you enter from one set of problems to a new set of problems. So we'll end it right there on this May 9th, 2017. So I don't know if I'll make the other one available, but if it is, it'll be $60. It's about 42 minutes long, but it does have like a 60 hertz hum in there. If you're focusing on what I'm saying, it wouldn't be too much of a nuisance, but I have tolerance. A lot of people don't. People probably get easily distracted by that little hum noise. So, anyways, we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce on this May 9th, 2017. And Godspeed.